Mid-American Energy is putting the power to achieve greater energy efficiency in the hands of home and business owners. Both benefit from the incentives and rebates Mid-American offers on new select energy-efficient equipment. These rebates not only can lower the cost of equipment and installation, they also allow customers to enjoy lower energy bills sooner than expected. Visit MidAmericanEnergy.com to find out how to save some green. Energy efficiency is in our hands with Mid-American Energy. Obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
There's something happening in Iowa.
I will start taking the stairs.
I will start eating healthy.
I will eat more fruits and vegetables.
People are taking the pledge to begin a healthier lifestyle for themselves and for their loved ones.
I will walk instead of watching TV.
I'll be more active more often.
I'll get regular checkups even when I feel fine.
Make your own pledge to live well. Start today by having your blood pressure checked. And let's get healthy. Provided by Iowa Community Transformation and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Well, we now have rain in our immediate forecast, but only about a 20 to 30% chance of rain. We did have some thunder overnight and some rainfall. We see a 20% chance of rain today before 1 p.m. Otherwise, it'll be mostly sunny with a high near 80. Tonight, we see a 30% chance of showers with a low right around 55.
This is the award-winning broadcast of Healthy University, bringing health and vitality to you and your family, brought to you by Scotland County Hospital in Memphis. Now, here's your host, Dr. Randy Tobler.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I want to understand.
Hey, welcome. It's 7 after the hour, and it is Healthy You on KMEM 100.5. Yay, we've got some rain, and we're happy about that. That's good.
It is good. I woke up unexpectedly just to the sound of the Vietnam War. No, a lot of loud noises, and thought, what in the world? I had no idea. Yeah. I hadn't really paid that much attention to what it would or could or was supposed to do. So what I ended up with was a lot of loud noise, and then our dog, who I must admit is, remember that show we had where you weren't supposed to sleep with your pooch?
Yes.
Well, I do. And
I think a lot of people do.
Only thing is, every time it thundered, she'd like push like this, like do something. So
save me.
Yeah, it's kind of short night. Got all kinds of things going on around here.
Yeah, and we've got some events coming up too that we need to
we got a open house that's October 30th, and everyone that is able to, we want you to save that date, and we've set it up in a way so that it starts in the afternoon and goes up until 7 in the evening. So if you work that day, you'll still have an opportunity to come. And there are all kinds of tours and things that are available. There's refreshments. There are remarks at 5 o'clock in the evening over in the library conference room from hospital officials. And there also is a gift for all attendees. So this will be your chance to see what the hospital looks like and how to get from point A to point B. And we'll be looking at the emergency department, surgery center, med-surg floor, conference center, and all the renovated areas inside the hospital. Be a chance to figure out how to get around.
And it occurs to me that's around Halloween time, isn't it?
Yes.
Is Halloween the Monday before or the Monday after?
It's the day after.
Yeah, our open house is October 30th, and Halloween will be October 31st.
Oh, I thought it was a Monday. Okay, so
it's a Tuesday, and we'll have a big show that day. Remember, we talked
about
that.
And then
we're
Wednesday,
gonna have a pregame show.
Okay, and then so Wednesday is Halloween. So we're going to all dress up like doctors and hospital staff and administrators.
Let's do that. Like that.
Oh,
that's a great
and we'll hand out a trick or treat, but they don't have to do anything. They don't have to tell a joke. They don't nothing. Just come to the celebration.
I have to change up on that. I was going to come as a bum, but I can.
Boy, there's lots of material there. I'm just not even going there.
Free breast cancer screening is another thing we're going to have. Memphis Medical Services on Friday, October 19th. It's from 1 to 5 in the afternoon with Dr. Celeste Miller Parrish. And a lot of free information along with the screening itself. And it is free, but folks, please call ahead and schedule your appointment at 660-465-2828. Wanted to be sure and mention that. Also, Doctor, speaking of breast cancer, have you seen the information from Washington University at St. Louis?
No. New stuff?
Today.
Wow.
And you may know this doctor. His name's Dr. Matthew Ellis. And anyway, he was the lead researcher in this group, and they completed a major analysis on the genetics of breast cancer.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And they found 4 major classes of the disease and the fundamental differences between those subtypes. And I think, well, I can remember that there are, like for instance, in melanoma and lung cancer and colon cancer and even leukemia, there are subsets of cancer, and there's a treatment that's bullseye, smart bomb for each one of these individual, and then now that's what he's thinking that they can do is reach across and grab those drugs that are approved for those other cancers and use them on these different subsets of breast cancer. So that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, we've gone from a state with cancer and cancer research that where it was always just, okay, I have a prostate cancer, or ma'am, you have a breast cancer, and that's the tissue, and so we're going to treat it as a breast cancer.
Yeah.
We're finding out that all breast cancers are not alike, all prostate cancers are not alike, and they can look at surface markers on the surface of the cells and target the therapy better.
That's pretty
There's
awesome.
There's a test available for breast cancer called Oncotype. It's sort of a commercial test through some of the reference labs. And that actually helps guide, in some cases, the docs to figure out the most likely to succeed therapy, rather than sort of a shotgun approach, which is not bad in itself, but this is going to make it even better. So that's good news.
Yeah, that's excellent news. Even for me as a layperson, I was excited when I read that.
And I love WashU. They do good research.
They do good research.
Yep.
And
Good
we're
work.
going to have, I know that our radiology department is gearing up for October because that is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And they're encouraging women to have their mammography.
They are, and indeed, we just got word last week, I believe it was, that our mammography team and our mammography department and our mammography machine, our practices, got a deficiency-free inspection.
Yeah.
So we have a perfect mammography department at
And
Scotland County
everybody-
Hospital.
I think everybody likes the new equipment really well, too.
And speaking of certification, I got a note from Chrissy Siegfried a month ago, I guess now, 2 or 3 weeks ago anyway, that the certification for the cardiac rehab department has been renewed.
Awesome.
And that's a rare honor.
Oh,
That
yes.
is an unusual thing in these
Very
parts.
rare.
So there's lots of cardiac rehab departments, but to be certified by this
but-
prestigious and august organization in
indeed.
September. It was an august organization, got certified, and that's really a big deal.
It is a big deal.
For folks who are getting cardiac
There
rehab.
aren't many around.
No. So lots more good news about the hospital and about the certifications and the qualifications. So that's super good. All ladies who complete a mammogram at Scotland County in the month of October will receive a gift.
That's
Yes, indeed.
right.
Is this in addition to the tour of the facility gift?
Yes.
Yes,
They're
you bet.
different.
The girls in mammography department have pilfered
Wow.
through all of the cool and neat stuff for breast cancer awareness, and they will all get a free gift. And for those out there who are on the younger end of the spectrum that it is a concern of theirs that by age 40 they should get a mammography every year. I reached that point just a few years ago, and I didn't know how to maneuver all this. Did my family practice doctor have to refer me over to Jenny and Deanna at mammography, or did I just call Jenny and Deanna and mammography at the hospital to make my own appointment? And it's very simple. I turned 40. I call Jenny and Deanna in mammography, set up my appointment.
And you came in with your Social Security card, and that's all you had to
And
do.
I didn't even have to show my Social Security card.
Wow.
I registered. They
Social Security.
They got me registered at the front desk. Jenny came back, got me, did the procedure, and gave me a really cool pink bag with some mints and a pen and a calendar.
The girls
and
love the pink bags and the
it
mints
was
and the
super.
calendars.
They're into that.
And so now I have this great experience to look upon. And so every
That
year
was good.
I come in
And I'm
do
thinking
my
there was
screening.
something in the bag that was sugar too.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yes, candies, pink candies.
It wasn't
of
your
course.
Social Security; it was your sugary security
That's
card
right, it was.
that you presented, wasn't it? Well, speaking of women's health, we're going to devote this show and dedicate it to women's health. And joining us is my favorite gal, Helene, my wife, who's not only healthy, but maybe was in the same place that many of you were or are, a little over a decade ago, right, hon?
Yes.
And I had a little illness that sort of got us attuned to, really remaining healthy and health and wellness, and did some interesting work and study it through that, and really transformed my practice as well as transformed her life, because you're a business major, right?
Yes. And I was not always so healthy is the best way to say it.
And so we thought we would sort of bring some personal experiences, things I wish we wouldn't have done and things we did fairly well, in terms of everything from raising the kids to being pregnant to now being a 50-something-year-old woman
54.
who looks like she's 30 in
It's
my
all
book.
right.
And
She does look like she's 30.
And we thought we would just talk about women's health across the lifespan, across the spectrum. And women's health even begins in that little female embryo inside the mama.
Oh, sure.
And so we thought we would take it all the way there from the other end of the spectrum to 100-something, and maybe just talk about
That's optimistic.
We'll talk about some do's and don'ts and how you can really, when you're even carrying that baby, make a difference in that young girl's life, and really maybe set up things for the better or for the worse for the long term as well. Some interesting information there. And how no matter what hand you're dealt, genetically and metabolically and socially in life, how you can play those cards real well and likely win the hand. Okay?
Yes,
That's what we want to talk about
absolutely.
today on Healthy You. What are the numbers in case there's questions by guys or gals about
either
gals'
one.
health?
Sure.
Okay?
Anybody. 1-800-748-7875 and 660-465-7225 locally.
Back with more. Your questions and comments for Dr. Helene Tobler. And me, I can answer a few women's health questions too. When we come back, lots of interesting studies, lots of cool, practical news and info that you can use as well. Coming up on Healthy You.
Forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. So don't forget who's taking you home or in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. Oh, baby, won't you save the last dance for me? Ooh, you make a promise that you'll save the last dance for
Elliott Pharmacy.
We know it's difficult to decide where to get your prescriptions filled, but since 1973, we at Elliott Pharmacy have concentrated on the basics, helping you make the best decisions, answering your questions regarding your prescription medication. It's simple. We fill prescriptions and we're very good at what we do. Elliott Pharmacy, a tradition of service.
Tradition of service. Elliott Pharmacy.
While other manufacturers are scrambling to adopt SCR technology to meet emission standards, Case IH is in the field, maximizing productivity and setting records for fuel efficiency. We're leading the way with over 10,000 SCR tractors already at work. It's proven efficient power you can find on all our high horsepower equipment, including combines and sprayers. And right now, get great offers when you pre-order 2013 models. To learn more, visit your local Case IH dealer or caseihdeals.com.
I'm confused.
Wouldn't be the first time.
It's about Corn Refuge.
Well, it can be confusing.
There's a lot of choices out there.
But you know who's doing it right? DuPont Pioneer.
DuPont Pioneer offers high-performing refuge solutions with insect protection choices just right for your operation, plus the expertise to help you get the most out of every acre.
Did I simplify it for you?
Yeah. Now, what to order for lunch?
Oh, boy.
For more information, call your Pioneer sales professional. Science with service. Delivering success.
Keep up with what's going on in your area with a subscription to the Hometown Journal. The Hometown Journal takes great pride in offering you up-to-date coverage on everything that goes on in Clark County and in your hometown. Nowadays, it's not enough just to be smart. You also have to be up to date, and you'll always be up to date if you subscribe to the Hometown Journal. Order your subscription or renew your old one today by calling 660-727-3383. The Hometown Journal in Cahokia is a proud sponsor of Clark County Indian Sports.
Tell me something. Go ahead. And be completely honest. Ask me anything. Does this shirt fit me right?
Shopping in the one-size-fits-all section again?
Is it that obvious?
When it comes to corn refuge, one size does not fit all. At DuPont Pioneer, we focus on just right, the right product on the right acre, including innovative single-bag solutions for above-ground refuge in the Corn Belt.
What if I untuck it?
Hope you kept your receipt.
For more information, call your Pioneer sales professional. Science with service, delivering success.
This is the big one. Iowa's largest arts and crafts show is coming this weekend to the Iowa State Fairgrounds in Des Moines with over 300 talented exhibitors selling thousands of unique handmade products such as oak furniture, stained glass, pottery, jewelry, clothing, food products, and much more. Admission is just $6. That's Iowa's largest arts and crafts show this Friday night from 5 to 9, Saturday from 9 to 5, and Sunday from 10 to 4 at the Iowa State Fairgrounds in Des Moines. A fantastic shopping event.
Feel a shiver run up my spine. I feel the warmth of her hand in mine. Ooh, I hear laughter in the rain, walking hand in hand with the one I love. Ooh, how I love.
We're back. It's 21 after the hour. Healthy You on a overcast but not gloomy day, because whenever we see a little rain this year, it's a good thing. We're all happy about that. And a very nice, bright, sunny celebration happened yesterday.
Absolutely did.
We want to give a big shout out to Dr. Harlow Donaldson.
You bet.
I'll be honest, we've been here since 2006, and he is like the ambassador for Memphis. He makes you feel at home, and he's been working here 50 years, but it's not just being a doctor. He's just, I can't even explain. He's just an everything to this community. I don't know what we do with it.
To sum it up, Harlow is loved because Harlow is love. He just
is.
I really mean that. And so I gave him a big emotional, big hug yesterday. I couldn't help myself at the end of the celebration. It was really great. And Harlow, we love you, and the best for the next 50 years. Because whenever you're on the show, you remind us of what dedication to a community is and what dedication to a practice and your patients are. And always bringing us lots of good stuff, not only from the practice perspective, but from the drama, and he says he's got a lot of neat acts coming in next year again. Already, cool. He's got that all worked out.
Awesome.
You know what we say? If Harlow wants you to come to the theater and perform, it's like that old Star Trek thing. Resistance is futile. There's just no saying no, and we're thankful for that. So
we are.
Congrats on 50 great years, and we wish you 50 more years as well, Harlow. So we want to talk with Helene Tobler about women's health. We want to start about the in the womb and how it even starts there, because we're learning that we've talked about it here before. What happens before mom conceives and what happens during the pregnancy affects that little, boy and girl, but since we're talking about girls today, it affects that little girl baby as well.
Yes.
And so the things that we want to emphasize are being your very best and getting in shape preconceptually, right?
Yes.
And then also during the pregnancy.
And I can't say I was the best model for that, for Sean especially.
For Sean, our first,
And it's not that I was still on the starvation diet type, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight.
Roller coaster.
And when we had Sean, I was still in that mindset.
Because I was a resident then, fourth-year residency.
I didn't starve myself when I was pregnant, but I did not exercise. I did not eat right. I ate a lot of meat and
well, you exercised, but you were not as rabid as you are now. And you weren't on the trajectory to health and wellness.
Well, I didn't get the fact that food is medicine, and food is medicine not just for me, it was for our kid. So I can really recommend now, in Japan, this is what they do. In Japan, they're very good about taking fish oil capsules when before pregnancy and during pregnancy, because there's a thing called, there's EPA DHA is in fish oil capsules, and the DHA is specifically for brain health. And The Japanese have been way ahead of us on this. They're even thinking putting DHA in baby formula.
Yeah.
So I can recommend
They
that.
are now.
Yes.
It's routine
yes.
because mother's milk has those good omega-3 fish oil type things. And the formula up until 5 to 10 years ago didn't. And now it's pretty much standard. Yeah. Because it makes a difference in brain health. It also is anti-inflammatory. And we've talked about the overall inflammatory and negative influences of inflammation. And so that's good. But if you start your pregnancy heavy, and or you're normal weight but put on too much weight, or pray tell both, you start heavy and you put on too much weight, that's not good because you're setting your baby up, boy or girl, for obesity and diabetes.
Indeed. And then even with mom and gestational diabetes is another thing that you really have to be watching out and paying attention to. And a lot of moms don't know what that is when symptomology starts up when they're pregnant.
Right. And sometimes we test for it, and gestational diabetes doesn't always, it's not always symptomatic. In fact, you'd have to be just overtly badly diabetic to have it show. But suffice it to say that it is more important now than ever for the little one inside of you, pregnant ladies and pregnant ladies to be, and husbands and boyfriends of pregnant ladies to be, and grandmas and grandpas of pregnant ladies to be, to emphasize preconceptual wellness. I can't overemphasize it. These influences that occur on the baby are called epigenetic, meaning we have genes.
Right.
And meaning these are influences that actually turn on switches, on or off switches that exist in our genes, and they become permanently turned on or off many times due to the influences of what's going on during the pregnancy.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And so you set in motion for the little one within you by your own lifestyle things that may affect them the rest of their life. That goes for diet, and it goes for exercise.
And you don't, this is another problem. You can't start an exercise program when you get pregnant. Not a good idea. I mean, walking is one thing, but
at the very least, though, you can do that.
You can walk, but really your exercise program has to start before you're pregnant. You can't just start up high impact aerobics when you start getting pregnant and expect to lose weight. Don't ever expect to lose weight when you're pregnant. Just eat correctly and your weight will stay.
Oh, but doctor, you know how these young girls are. I'm young. I'm 10 foot tall, bulletproof. I don't have to exercise.
No. And I'm totally about exercise is not all about, your hormones are raging when you're pregnant too. Exercise is not all about keeping your weight down. It helps your mind when you're pregnant because you are under a lot of stress.
It does make a lot of difference.
Huge difference.
But let me, so I'm the little 10-week-old baby inside the mommy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's like day after day. No, not another hot fudge sundae. Not another box of Cheetos. Mrs. Bill. No, I mean, it's hard. Women get cravings.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I take care of pregnant ladies. It's hard. I mean, the reality is you get these wild cravings for, sometimes it's pickles. Awesome, great, low calorie. But very often it's like, I'm going to eat the whole box of mac and cheese, and I'm going to do it every day. Okay. What are some suggestions for pregnant women who want to do the right thing and try to limit their weight gain and feed their baby right?
Actually eating at least 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and have prescribed snacks. And maybe
grazing.
Maybe those prescribed snacks are going to have something fun in it, like almonds in the afternoon, maybe a couple chocolate chips if that's your thing. But have little bites of it as opposed to, because and that's me, if I told myself I can't have a piece of pie. Well, by gosh, I would have ate the whole pie by the end of the week, when I was pregnant especially. But give yourself little bits of it, and you won't have those cravings as bad.
Okay, and there are little tricks, too, to try to decrease those wild cravings, right? I mean, in terms of some fullness things, fibery things, order in which you eat your food.
Right. I'm a huge fan, and eat your salad first. Actually, when we're waiting for dinner for you, which is usually late at night, I can't. Sorry, it's not your fault. But anyway, it's usually I have a huge apple, something with fiber in it, and that should be the standard thing. A big thing of fiber, lots of water. That's going to help stave off the hunger, so you're not grabbing things.
Okay, and then when the child is born and you've reared them properly inside the womb because you've eaten well and you've walked, or if you were on an exercise program, you've exercised. And we're learning that you can pretty much continue whatever level of fitness, even if it's extreme fitness, during the pregnancy. We used to think, oh, you got to slow down. Don't let your heart rate do this. Don't let your heart rate do that. Bottom line rule of thumb is exercise during pregnancy, exercise to that point at which you can still speak in a full sentence, and you don't need to go beyond that. So if you're exercising, you should be able to do that. Whereas if you're not pregnant, you'd probably push it a little bit. You may be panting and gasping a little bit to try to get that little extra boost in. You don't need to do that. But for a marathon runner, that's a pretty vigorous exercise, or for someone who's in the gym 4 or 5 times a week, right? So whatever you do, make sure you exercise.
Just remember that your center of gravity has changed.
So the baby's out, and every day becomes, especially with your first, like with our first, every day becomes the first birthday, and there's chocolate, and there's goodies, and there's sweet foods. They're coming out of the cans and the jars, and when the baby starts eating foods, and everyone wants to be the first one on the block to feed their baby the rice and the cereal and the sweet bananas and the carrots and whatever. And even older, as they're eating sort of the adult food, and you're sitting down to the meal, we made a mistake or two, didn't we?
Maybe a couple mistakes, yes. First of all, when we would go to any function with our family, we had to make sure Sean had a Happy Meal. He couldn't eat what everybody else did.
Well, everyone else had Happy Meals.
Everybody else had Happy Meals.
She was a business person.
We were idiots. I mean, we did a lot of bad stuff.
What do we know? I mean,
Juicy juice. Juicy juice is so healthy. Cans of juice. I can't even tell you what I did with Sean. A lot of... And we tried. Here's what we did with Sean as far as we did.
Well, he was a picky eater.
He was a very picky eater. So apples and anything, he'd shut down. And instead of, now that I look back, when he shut down, what I should have been is not fighting him all the time. Is fine. Let's not do that. Let's reintroduce something else. Yeah. And I did that with the girls, and I got smarter with them. But I was not very smart with Sean.
Right, and that was as you were adjusting your whole learning curve.
And
like
I say, I was a starving mom too. I starved myself to eat.
Yeah, and I think what we learned with the girls and what we'd recommend is that just have the good stuff around and try to not have the bad stuff around.
And don't have fights. We had food fights with Sean. Big mistake. If they don't like it, then you just back off and then reintroduce something else.
Yeah,
it's just not worth the food fights.
Yeah, and guess what? We learned somewhere along the way that if they skip a meal because there's nothing else there, they don't die.
Yeah.
They didn't starve to death. And so if you can get them on the right track and create good habits, it's very important to do that. And again, we're emphasizing girls today because this all plays out later in life. It has everything to do with later influences on diabetes, obesity, heart disease, cancer risks. Okay, if you're not eating properly, because not only do those things that generally are laden with calories, all the sugary carbohydrate-rich stuff have to do with calories and calorie density and putting on lots of weight eventually, but it also has to do then with inflammatory influences, and that relates to cancer and heart disease.
Can we just stop there for a minute and talk about inflammatory foods? Because I have a feeling, I don't know. Would be guessing that I could pretty much tell what they were, but I don't know for sure what all inflammatory foods are included in that. And there might be some surprises out there that's like, really? Is that inflammatory?
Well, trans fats are probably number one on the list.
Wow.
Parquet,
anything partially
artificial
hydrogenated
margarines
oil.
and
It's just basically a fake food.
Really?
Yes. And fatty meats. I mean, that is inflammatory. If you got a diet of very dense, heavy, fatty cheese, that also is inflammatory. Lots of sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar's inflammatory.
Pillsbury Doughboy stuff is
lots of the sugary.
So when you read labels and mom's in the grocery store looking and trying to come up with the best fit for everyone from 2 to 50, what is she looking for on the labels to try to avoid?
Less than 1, at the most 2 grams of saturated fat. Saturated fat.
Saturated
now,
fats.
I'm not really on board of saying saturated fats are all bad, but you should have a limited amount of saturated fats. If you make your diet predominantly saturated fat, except for coconut milk and coconut, that's a good saturated fat. If you make it predominantly that is also inflammatory.
How about high fructose corn syrup?
That's very inflammatory. And I'm not pushing out It's not the fact they say that the chemically high fructose corn syrup is the same as sugar. The problem is added. If you go to the grocery store and you'll see it's added to everything.
Mhm.
Wow.
And if it's added to everything, how could you help but not have it? It didn't
Right.
used to be added to everything
Right.
like it is now. It's just a cheap source of
Why are they
calories.
doing that for?
It's cheap.
Oh.
It's cheap.
They found out in Japan in the 70s that you could synthesize that out of corn, and it's a much cheaper way to sweeten foods than is regular sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Now they both they're both calorie for calorie, carbohydrate for carbohydrate. They're both fine, and they will give you the same number of calories, but they determine calories for reporting purposes by literally determining how much energy is produced when that's burned.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is when it's burned in the body, that is routed and it changes your metabolism such that a lot of the calories you get from high fructose corn syrup, because of influences on the liver, really will turn those calories into fat a lot more readily.
Does the label read high fructose corn syrup?
And
Is that
it's
what
hard
it
not
says?
to get anything with high.
Yeah,
high
we try to
fructose.
avoid that. Yep.
And then another, you wouldn't think it's inflammatory, but basically it's the bun. It's the big white flour.
Yes.
White flour is like number one on the list.
Yeah.
That's an easy thing to not do. If you're going to eat a hamburger, just take the top off.
Think about it. If you were to roll up some newspaper and put it on your grill, right?
Uh-huh.
That's a carbohydrate, right? Because
Right.
it's all carbon and it's all paper.
Sure.
No protein in there to speak
Right,
of, right?
right.
And put a hamburger on the grill that's 99% lean,
Mhm.
and then turn up the flame, which actually catches fire itself and
Oh,
burns more.
Oh, well, yeah.
The carbohydrate.
Sure.
Which therefore is creating a bigger fire within your vessels
Awesome.
and in your body.
Gotcha.
Carbohydrates. Not that you don't need some carbs, okay?
Sure, you
but
need
there's
some.
ways to get
Fruits
them and
and
there's ways not to.
vegetables.
When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation about women's health across the life spectrum, and we invite your phone calls as well.
Absolutely.
But we want to talk about how influences in a young girl's and adolescent's life as she begins breast development can influence breast cancer risk later on. Okay,
Okay.
we're going to talk about that
All right.
because there's so much that you can do years ahead of the fact to reduce your risk of getting bad things.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll talk about that when we come back. More with Helene Tobler, holistic nutritionist, and the Healthy You crew when we come back. The numbers again, Bud?
Yep, 1-800-748-7875 and 660-465-7225. The lines are open.
Mid-American Energy is putting the power to use energy more efficiently in our hands, helping with the big things like rebates to make approved energy-efficient appliances more affordable, and helping identify the little things like compact fluorescent bulbs and weather stripping that add up to save some green. Energy efficiency is in our hands with Mid-American Energy. Obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
There's something happening in Iowa.
I will start taking the stairs.
I will start eating healthy.
I will eat more fruits and vegetables.
People are taking the pledge to begin a healthier lifestyle for themselves and for their loved ones.
I will walk instead of watching TV.
I'll be more active more often.
I'll get regular checkups even when I feel fine.
Make your own pledge to live well. Start today by having your blood pressure checked. And let's get healthy. Provided by Iowa Community Transformation and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
U.S. Cellular is giving $1 million to schools to improve the education of students through their Calling All Communities campaign. The campaign invites communities to rally together to vote for their school. Visit your local U.S. Cellular store, pick up a voting code, and enter it online at uscellular.com from now through October 21st. The school with the most votes will win $150,000, and the next 17 schools with the most votes will receive $50,000. Scotland, Schuyler, and Clark County schools are teaming up, and if everyone votes for Scotland County Elementary, those schools will equally divide the money. This message has been brought to you by U.S. Cellular and KMEM Radio. Vote today for your favorite school. Again, vote for Scotland County Elementary, and Scotland, Schuyler, and Clark County schools will split the money.
A message from A+ scholarship students across Missouri.
The Missouri Lottery has raised more than $4 billion.
More than $4 billion for schools, students, and educational opportunities.
Like the A-plus scholarship program that paid for 2 years of my college education.
2 years of my tuition.
I got an education because of you.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for making my future brighter.
Thank you for making me and my parents very, very happy.
Thank you for playing, and keep it up.
Because when you play the Missouri Lottery,
you play it forward.
Thanks to Missouri Lottery players like you, the A-plus scholarship program has helped thousands of Missouri students and their families pay for 2 years of higher education. Every ticket is a win for education, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. For more information, visit molottery.com.
A foggy day in London town had me low.
And we're back. Healthy You, Tuesday mornings, KMEM 100.5. Thanks for being here. We're talking about women's health across the life spectrum, and we will get back to how important it is for young women, girls, adolescents, maybe even, what do they call them, tweens, to get some good habits, because it may affect their lifelong, health, all the way from heart disease to cancer risk. And we're talking with Helene Tobler, my lovely wife and holistic nutritionist and all-around wellness guru.
CEO, president of her own company.
But we had a caller first who has an interesting question, because there are increasing number of women who are having some problems like the caller, and I think she's on the line there. How you doing, caller? Thanks for giving us a buzz. What's on your mind?
Yes. Does SGB treatments help hot flashes?
Stellate ganglion block.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a new treatment that's being used to treat, proposed as a treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder in soldiers coming home from the various increasingly long and increasingly many deployments that they've had in the last decade or so.
Right.
And the thought is that, the stellate ganglion, there's a chain of nerve bundles that run alongside your spine, and nerves connect there, and they control what's called the sympathetic nervous system. And that means that's driven by the hormone adrenaline. Well, the body's a version of that called noradrenaline, norepinephrine. And what happens is that they think that there's sort of a vicious cycle that develops, so that the more stress that a person feels, we talked about emotions last week and how they inform the body, if you heard that show, and how Mary Lamia said, we have to be informed by our emotions and then use that constructively to deal with the issues that are influencing those emotions. Well, yes, counseling is important for PTSD and all the other things. There may be medications for the anxiety and the paranoia and all the things that can develop. But it turns out that in these little nerve bundles that have to do with our, I would say, transmitting our emotions to the things we feel in our body, like palpitations, hot flashes, breaking out in a sweat, and bolt upright if you're a soldier and you hear lightning bud go off and you think, oh my God.
Sending the message.
Yeah, that's the Kong shooting at me, right? Then it's thought that nerve growth factors are then sort of stimulated by the excitement and by the anxiety, which makes more of those nerves grow, which then can produce more of the adrenaline, which then makes more nerve growth factor. And you can see how that could be a spiraling downward situation. And it makes it every time more difficult or easier and more likely to have a moment with your PTSD. So what they're doing is injecting in the neck one of the C6 vertebrae in this case, and they inject with local anesthesia right there, and they try to block that ganglion. And there is now a research study going on, actually authorized. It's being done in Chicago, and the guy who's doing it there, Dr. Lipov, Lipov. And actually, there's a study that's been authorized by the government, a clinical trial through Walter Reed at the United States Naval Medical Center as well. And so there are a couple of studies going on, and if you'd like some more information, we can get that to you off the air, okay?
Yes.
But as far as whether they go for hot flashes or not, and as far as whether it's going to be a long-term cure, that's the question. A, does it work on the short term? Maybe. B, would it be a long-term fix? No one knows yet.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
But if you get onto clinicaltrials.gov, and just plug in, SGB and PTSD, that'll probably get you there. Okay?
Clinical trials, what?
Clinicaltrials.gov, G-O-V, as in Victor. Okay?
Thank you.
Check it out, and you might be able to, enroll in one of these studies, and then you could get that done. Yeah. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, interesting call. And we do need to talk about stress across the life spectrum as well, right? So let's get back to our information. Linking breast cancer risk to early life diet. We know that people in the Orient and Asians who eat a lot of soy in their diet, all the way from preteens onward, have lower rates of breast cancer. Of course, they also eat less animal fat. They also have a potentially more active lifestyle, at least, traditionally. And there may be a lot of influences on breast cancer risk and on all that. But soy may have something to do with that, because soy has to do with friendly vegetables and friendly estrogens and estrogen blockers at the breast level. What say you about tweens and adolescents and eating and so forth? What it relates
first of all,
to?
Tweens. I can't say I was the best. First of all, girls, thinness is like key, which is not what it's all about. Adolescents, tweens, girls especially, they're setting down their bone for the rest of their life. And here's where they're all starving themselves and not eating enough protein.
And eating a lot of junk foods. And synthetic fatty acids and synthetic fats and saturated fats.
Right. So you're setting yourself up first for problems with your bones later on, A. 2, there's a lack of iron. They're not eating enough meats. And you know how me and a lot of other people, and you couldn't give blood because you're anemic when you were younger because you didn't eat right, and then too much of the wrong foods.
Right.
So you're setting yourself up for problems later on.
And we have real concerns that excess weight, because again, I hope you all remember, fatty tissue produces estrogens. Fatty tissue produces estrogens. Right. And there's a fair amount of evidence, and a pretty good body of evidence, that a lot of the excess weight we're seeing in our youth, particularly females, but maybe it has to do with prostate cancer in guys too, is going to, at a time when breast tissue is developing, being an estrogen-sensitive tissue, is being, for lack of a better word, over-fertilized. And when you over-fertilize it, not only with internal estrogens that may be coming from fatty tissue, but the ovarian estrogens, which are there anyway, that we can't do anything about that, right? No. That's normal. But then there's the xenoestrogens, xenoestrogens. What are those? Things from pesticides, fertilizers, stuff in the environment, plastics, microwave your food in plastic. Who knows? Maybe there's a problem there, right?
Wow.
And that acts like estrogenic activators in the body. And so exposing ourselves, all of these developing young breast tissues, to that may have a bad payoff, maybe a bad payoff in the future. Okay? Because we've seen an increase in the risk of breast cancer over the years. Well, what's causing it? I mean, does the human genome evolve that quickly? No, I don't think so. No. So it's probably effects on the genome, and we have to protect ourselves that way. Now, that doesn't mean that if you microwave, a leftover in some saran wrap tonight, or the non-microwavable, dish, that you're going to get breast cancer. Don't buy a breast cancer policy. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about life is rolling the dice. And it'd be better to try to, set up the dice to be more in your favor. Put that little weight on the good side wherever you want them to land, rather than the random.
Absolutely, because it goes into every aspect of what we are and how we develop. And so why not be on the right path?
Right. And there's good studies. You had one here that talks about
this
mice.
This is actually about mice, but they kind of know this, but this just kind of firms it up. That they did a study with mice on with conjugated linoleic acid. Now, there's a good and there's a bad. This particular isomer of conjugated linoleic acid is a bad thing, and it has the effect of with these mice, the same as obesity does with with women and everything else. And they're basically coming out with the fact that estrogen doesn't have anything to do with breast cancer in these mice. It's the fact that they're obese and they have metabolic syndrome. Estrogen's not on the, it's what they're eating is the problem.
Yeah. So the estrogen factor is taken away. It has to do with the obesity, the inflammation and stuff. Okay. All right. So adolescents, listen up, live right.
Right.
Throw away those sugary sweetened sodas and drink something else. Try to eat healthily, which means vegetables, healthy proteins, healthy fats, and get some exercise, right?
Absolutely.
It's pretty simple, not as easy to execute, but it's pretty simple to understand. All right, we'll take another break and come back, and then maybe we'll talk about, get into sort of some menopausal issues as well, all right? And we'll be back with more with Helene Tobler, Bud Wilson, Elisa Kiger, and me, Dr. Randy Tobler, on Healthy You. Just a while. Stay tuned.
Many times I thought of cutting out, but my heart won't.
Pioneer brand soybeans deliver more than just high yields. Here's what growers are saying.
I want strong agronomic and defensive traits to protect against insects and disease.
Local research and field testing take the guesswork out of the Pioneer varieties I plant.
Strong emergence and Pioneer premium seed treatment helps get my crop off to a strong start.
My Pioneer rep helps match the best genetics with the right traits for my acres.
That's total performance.
That's Pioneer soybeans.
For more information, call your Pioneer sales professional. Science with service, delivering success.
This is Howard Buffett. Even though we farm some of the richest soils on the planet and produce enough food to feed the world, 1 in 6 people in America struggles with hunger. That's why ADM, the Howard G. Buffett Foundation, Monsanto, and Feeding America have launched the Invest an Acre program. By donating just 1 acre of crop proceeds, you can help provide thousands of healthy meals to your neighbors in need, with 100% of your donation staying local.
Visit investanacre.org or contact your ADM location to learn more.
What is America's best country? Well, America's best country is Johnny Cash.
And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
America's best country is Lori Morgan.
I'm looking for something in red, something that's shocking to turn someone.
America's best country is the Oak Ridge Boys.
Elvira, Elvira, my heart's on fire for Elvira.
America's best country is Marty Robbins.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl.
America's best country is 100.5 KMEM.
Music would play.
The Fall Field Reports are being brought to you today by DuPont Crop Protection. Get the latest local information on field and weather conditions from experts in your area.
This is Bruce Knerchel with DuPont Crop Protection for Western Missouri. A couple of repeated questions that I have received in the last couple weeks is, what do I do to get better results in weed control for next year, and can I spray my ground now even though it is still warm? The answer to the second question is, if you are planning to use Canopy EX for ground going to beans and Basis Blend for ground going to corn, you don't have to wait to spray. The first question is a little more complex. If you want to be in control, you need to start now. Spray this fall with Canopy EX and with Basis Blend, and then plan on following up with a DuPont residual program.
The Fall Field Reports have been brought to you by DuPont Crop Protection. Count on DuPont to make every acre count from seed to harvest. Visit DuPontFieldReports.com.
We're back, and it's, wow, where'd the hour go? It's 6 till the hour.
Almost
all done. Okay. Hey, we've been talking about health and wellness and about how it affects women's health, all the way from carrying the baby when you're inside mama, what she's eating and drinking and not exercising or exercising, how that influences, to all the way on the other end, and how there can be influences that really transmit all the way to the other end of life. Let's go there. Let's talk about the perimenopause, and let's talk about navigating that, because I think, again, a lot of learning the good habits earlier in the road. I've watched you do it. You
So-
develop great habits, and you've had a very
Are we,
successful
Are
transition.
we still talking, in a way, are we still talking about genetic switches?
Yeah, well, a lot of the times we are, because if those genetic switches have been turned on inside mama, not that they can't be reversed, and you can't reverse your genetics to begin with.
Right.
If mom and dad both had blood pressure, you have at least
absolutely.
a 50 to
Or high
75%
cholesterol.
chance.
Right.
High cholesterol,
Yeah.
even diabetes, okay?
Sure.
But let's say that you've had that baby at 30 and your doctor told you, you have gestational diabetes, and you did well. You followed the diet and you reduced your carbohydrates and you exercised and you didn't have to go on insulin and your
Right.
baby wasn't a huge big linebacker.
Right, all
and
was well.
Everything worked fine. Guess what? You have at least a 50% chance of being truly diabetic within 10 years.
Yeah. Wow.
If you're
10
gestationally
years.
diabetic.
Holy cow.
So I advise my patients to take that as a friendly early warning.
Yeah.
And it's not inevitable. You don't have to have adult onset diabetes, or at least you don't have to have it earlier than you deserve
Okay.
it. Right? And so it's a matter of following through with those basic tenets. Good diet, good exercise. I would say stress reduction and sleep, right? Those
Yes.
four
Oh,
things,
yes.
which I
Absolutely.
practice religiously.
Yes, yes. I keep you on the straight and narrow, actually.
Most of the time.
Yes, yeah.
Well, the diet parts, you don't really have a choice in.
But you've got some interesting information about weight loss and weight gain in menopause, because there's some...
This particular
Yeah.
study kind of hit me in the face because I'm postmenopausal
Mhm.
or
Barely.
menopausal, just
Barely.
barely.
Mhm.
But there's a long-term weight loss is extremely hard for postmenopausal women, and the
Mhm.
reason is your metabolic rate is decreased, yet your appetite hormones have increased. So it's very difficult to lose weight. However, that's not it.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be it. So they did a study. Meaning the scientists did a study on people after 6 months and after 4 years. The women that did that decreased their fried foods, decreased their sugary foods, they were the ones that were able to desserts. They were the ones to keep their weight off. And then after 4 years, if you decreased all those things and increased your fruits and vegetables and decreased your meat and cheese.
Yep.
And I'm a big fan of meat and cheese, but you don't have to eat
Right.
quite as much.
Yeah, I know we fix things and you fix things that are potentially high calorie. I mean, right? We'll have meats and we'll have some cheese, but because we sort of nibble around and you put limited amounts there,
Right, and then put the rest in the icebox.
and put the rest in the icebox, right?
Or in the garage.
Right,
Right, the
It
garage.
seems to
right.
work out well, and
Right.
and because we don't sort of get our taste buds ahead of what we're eating by eating carbs early on, because when you have carbs, you start, remember,
Right.
we had a guest that said you're
Yes.
chasing the taste.
Yeah, you're chasing.
You're right.
Chasing the flavor,
Gotta
and that
start off
becomes a
with
problem.
with the fiber. So here's another good trick that I've been using, actually. It's women who actually do a food diary, and now this is,
Very
again,
important.
dovetails into the postmenopausal women having a hard time losing weight. They write their food diary. They're much more likely to lose weight. And it really works because you've got to write down every single thing. And I kept seeing it and reading it, and finally I'm
Right.
doing it, and it works.
But
It gives you
right.
pause to pick up the whole bowl of notes.
And
That's
before we
usually on a Friday
before we
night.
run out of time, we want to leave you with a pearl,
Okay.
a healthy pearl, because Helene found the study that I will be trumpeting for the rest of my days,
my
because it is
goodness.
great. You talked about eating or appetite hormones going up in
Yes.
menopause, right?
Yes.
And they go up a lot of times in people that are prone to obesity anyway. I mean, it's
Correct.
a problem. Ghrelin and leptin, and we've talked about that before. You found a study that validates my thinking
Yes,
and
whatever.
I have this need for popcorn on a regular basis. And she found a study. It's true, though. How do we trick our bodies into feeling full before we've eaten too many calories? I mean,
Right.
that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
Okay, put the fork down between bites, whatever, drink a glass of water. We found a study. Go ahead. You got a minute.
Basically, they had 4 groups.
Yep.
One group, control group. One group with 1 cup of popcorn. One group with
Mm-hmm.
6 cups of popcorn. One group with 1 cup of potato chips.
And this was 94% fat-free popcorn, microwave
so it's-
popcorn. So it wasn't even like I do it with olive oil and a little salt.
So
okay?
6 cups of popcorn is like 140 calories. 150 calories is a cup of potato chips.
Yeah,
And they ate it with a meal.
Wow. Yep.
And they, across the board,
Yep.
had more satiety or more full after the 6 cups of popcorn with their
Yep.
meal.
This was a
And-
controlled study, and they
study.
analyzed the total caloric intake if you had a cup of water, a cup of popcorn, 6 cups of popcorn, or a cup of potato chips, and then later ate a meal, whatever you wanted.
That's with nothing on the popcorn.
The
though.
total caloric intake was less with any level of popcorn or water than it was with the cup of potato chips.
Yeah.
Bottom line is, would you rather have a cup of water warming up for your meal or 6 cups of popcorn? Oh boy, I know the answer to that.
Now tell me what that is that you use to make yours with again.
Olive oil.
Uh-huh.
And then you can buy the powdered cheese,
Right.
Put just a little bit of that, or a little salt, but just olive oil and some popcorn. And I like throwing it to the dogs. It's sort of a fun diversion. The dogs can catch it. All right. Hey, that'll wrap it up. Thanks for being here again, sweetie. Appreciate it. Hope you guys found the useful information, the information useful. And we'll see you next time. Be well. Share it with someone you love. Stay tuned for more on KMEM 100.5.
You're listening to the best in area news, weather, and sports on America's Best Country, 100.5 KMEM Memphis, Missouri.